This call is being recorded.
Yeah, but that's really amazing. You said that you naturally started getting into the off the grid lifestyle, the natural lifestyle.
Yeah, I think it's a great concept. And, being a TI, it makes our gang stalkers' jobs a little more difficult.
Right, absolutely. Absolutely. And people are more dependent upon money in a city, especially a big city.
Right,
$10 to some people, is like damn. Especially $100. Imagine what $100 is to people, and $50 is a lot of money, $20 is a lot of money. If you live in an area that's less dependent upon financial resource and it's harder for these people to get to you, then it makes the connection less buildable. It's like, you're there in the city, you have to deal with these people, they have to deal with you. And if they're being financed through these gang stalking programs, then it makes you more of a target than if you remove
right.
yourself from a populated area
Oh,
and
yes.
you're not, yeah, yeah.
I can tell a huge difference from leaving Atlanta. I mean, it's like night and day.
Hmm.
I still do get gang stalked out here, but it's not as bad as being in the city. I've noticed even the
Yeah,
chemtrails aren't even as bad out here either. Like that and the energy of the city was just, I was feeling anxiety and just uncomfortable in my own skin. I like the thought of being able to, get your own water, plant your own food, just, live in a community of people like-minded, love consciousness who, truly are here to be light and love to this world.
yeah, yeah, most definitely. And the time that people spend in nature, like, literally clears their mind. I
It
mean, I
really
remember
does. It's
time.
the best therapy. I truly believe nature is the best medicine.
Right, right, right. Yeah, it is. It is definitely, definitely. And I think the electricity, like in the houses and stuff that run through the houses, it kind of isolates people, does something to their cardiovascular system in a way.
Right.
And if people spend too much time in the house, you can notice it on them. You can tell when they haven't been out there breathing fresh air and getting fresh sunshine. And I think that's part of the whole thing about gang stalking is the wish to isolate people. You know.
Oh, yeah. To isolate and get you suicidal. I do believe it's, kind of part of the depopulation agenda of the global elite, if you look at the bigger picture.
Right, right. Yeah, yeah, definitely. But other even outside of just trying to push people into to offen themselves or going out and offen other people, it's
Right.
like a way. I think it's some sort of spiritual dimension to it. I think it's demons
Absolutely.
running. Yeah, it's demons
I
running this sort of stuff.
completely agree. It is. It's
Yeah.
demonic. It's
Oh,
spiritual warfare. And,
mm.
uh, believe that we're living in Revelations. This is a, demonic, evil
Highly demonic.
spirit
Right.
that, yes, they're the evil
Highly.
snarls of the world that we're dealing with. That's what I call my gang stalkers.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
possessed.
They are. I remember listening to a man. He was like a lifetime Satanist, and he has an interview on YouTube, and he lives in New York City, and he worshipped the devil for years. And he said that him and his little devil cult would actually cast spells on the city of New York. He said certain demons ran certain areas of the city, and he said
Right.
they would do spells for people to get on drugs. They would do spells for people to prostitute themselves. They would do spells for people to harm other people, to kill people. They would actually get together and do chants and spells and stuff to bring about these demons' activity. And these people are mind controlled through demonic activity. Like,
Yep.
they, and it makes a lot of sense because when you see the gang stalking and you see how this stuff works, the people on the bottom level who are following you around the street, they don't have the intelligence to network any of this. And so you can see how there's artificial intelligence, there's computers doing, the computers do like 90% of the work for these
Right.
people. and it's a demonic operation,
It is.
and they're right, 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 and that's why I always said, like, I know what my God can do. You know what I mean? Because I'm just one person. I've seen my God get me through so much different types of stuff. And so, those demons have to stay in the demonic realm. The demons have to hold people into darkness and hold people into that lower astral energy to keep themselves going. And so these demonic possessed people want to attach their energy to our energy and try to pull us with them into their demonic realm. And my God's just not having it, My
Right.
God just doesn't, my God has too much power. And so, I've seen the hopelessness in these people that are caught up in this evil stuff. A lot of them are miserable, they're unhappy, they stay angry, they're very fearful, they're paranoid. A lot of these people, people who are involved in stuff like that, they're extremely paranoid people. They're sociopathic, they don't know what's going to happen to them. And you it's sort of like the mentality of somebody like Joseph Stalin, who as soon as he rose to power, he just started having everybody killed who helped him do it. Same thing with Adolf Hitler. They just started killing
Right.
everybody around them. In a paranoia panic, they just start killing people sometimes. And it's that demonic energy. It's just like, I'm glad that I got my God with me, and I can talk to people like you, and getting out of these demonic realms in these cities and progressing further into nature like humans should be living, I think is like the number one thing to be doing right now.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%.
Right.
And I
And
honestly believe that a lot of targeted individuals, I mean, all the ones I've ever talked to are some of the most godly people, like spiritual, just loving, pure, good heart, genuinely, good people. And, I believe that there's 144,000 light workers, like Revelation speaks of. And I think targeted individuals are, and that's why we've suffered. It's just kind of like Jesus suffered to uh, kind of like enhance our angelic DNA, or what Revelation tells us about, to prepare. I mean, we know of all how to, defeat these evil forces. And every day I pray, God, protect me. Don't let any weapon formed against me prosper. In Yeshua's name, amen. Like I have to do that to protect myself. But, if you're a Christian, who's going to win? So we really don't have anything to worry about. We got God on our back. My daddy's got this. We're good.
right, most assuredly, most assuredly. And the startling thing about this is, look at the weird sociopathic things that these sorts of people do. These people are targeting elderly people that are like in their 70s and 80s, and then they're targeting
Oh,
young
yeah.
people who are like 19, 20, 21 and stuff. And it just doesn't, like, that's proof that this is a
They
truly
prey on the
demonic.
helpless. It is
They
very
prey on the
demonic.
helpless. Right.
And the
They're
foster
really.
children, like I was telling you about, earlier, like they'll prey on people who they can control. It is sick and demonic and evil. And they get
It
off
is.
on it.
Yeah.
It truly makes them happy. They'll have a narcissistic smirk on their face.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. Yeah.
it's pure evil, and I don't know if I would, be able to survive it if it wasn't for my faith in God.
Right. 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 The fact. See what it is. What I think it is. What I think it is people are growing up in a society where, the family unit has been destroyed, and
Right.
young guys have grown up with they don't watch men anymore. They don't actually watch men. They're watching overgrown little boys, and they're watching empty people who have no concept of spirituality or morality. They have no concept of trying to pursue truth, or have no concept of courage. They're watching they're watching their family, they're watching their parents, and their parents are weak, spineless, no soul, nothing, empty. They'll fall for anything, get them to jump around like monkeys for $2. And like my God, like with me, I feel as though, like, um if you can't get what you want to get from your family unit or whatever, or the people around you, you can always get it from the ultimate spirit. I come in with the philosophy: one monkey doesn't stop the whole show.
Right.
We can't allow, just because we have misleaders around us, we cannot allow them to blind our path from the true light. And one monkey can't stop a whole show. So.
Nope. I
Right.
agree.
Most definitely, most definitely. So what do you think about, like, when you say off the grid, do you mean like living in structured homes more off the grid, or just like all out, just a sleeping bag and a tent type of thing? Like, what's your view on that?
I like envision something like a RV, but yeah, being able to travel, not, you know what I'm saying? Having
Mhm.
to necessarily stay in a house with, you know, so many different ways for them to electronically harass and control you. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I think it would be freeing just to kind of, yeah, have an RV and, yeah, like camp out and be with people of light and love.
Mhm.
Because I can tell
Mhm.
personally, I have extremely high intuition and empathic abilities from all of the gang stalking. I can instantly tell when I even have a gang stalker, like, drive by, because I can feel it in my heart, like that panic feeling. You know what I'm saying? Like, bad,
Oh
like
yeah.
the bad person. Like, yeah, I can feel the energy of my gang stalkers as well.
Yeah, I can look at somebody and tell that they're involved in it. I've been
Really?
watching it for so, yeah, I don't even need to, I can just look at the way they move and the way they act and tell what they're involved in, by the way their posture is and stuff like that. I've been watching it for so long, and I've been dealing with these people. Like, a lot of times I've gone up and talked to so many of these people about gang stalking, and I've been talking to so many other people who've been going through it. I just got like a natural metaphysical vibration for it, where I can just see
Right.
it. I just know how the person's laying. Then I can kind of tell if the person's been doing it a long time or the person just started. I can kind of tell just by the general, the, I guess, the frequency, the energy on them, you know,
Right.
and right.
And I do call
And
them energy sucking vampires because they will try and suck the life out of you. And if you are a godly man of light and love, they're going to, try and drain that energy because they need it to survive. They get off on it,
well,
kind of
that's
like a
what any
vampire.
yeah, that's what any parasite does.
Right.
That's what any parasite does. And it's really sad that humans have a lot more potential. Humans are not humans are you can say humans are animals, but humans have the ability to intellectually reason. If a wolf is a wolf, is a highly intelligent animal, but a wolf is an animal though, and it feeds off meat. You can't really judge a wolf based on its activity in the wild because it's a wolf. But a human being is a human being, and as a human, you're responsible for your own mind, not just what you think, but how you think, and you're responsible to reason and to analyze your environment and come to intellectual decisions about how you want to conduct yourself in the world. And a lot of people say it's a dog eat dog world, and everybody's out for themselves. That's how animals think. We can go out to the jungle and find snakes and crocodiles that are living like that. If you have a
Right.
mind and you can reason, there's more expected out of you.
Right. You're
You
here to
know,
serve others and
yeah,
to help
the
others.
expectations are higher. Right, right. The expectations are higher. And so people people just say, oh, I got to pay my bills and I got to do this and I got to do that. You know, that's nothing. That's the degeneracy is startling. It really
I
is.
think to a degree there's mass brainwashing and people are
Yeah.
so, they get programmed by watching TV programming, television, tell a lie to your vision. That's how they
Mhm.
program you,
Mhm.
and music the same way. The music industry is infiltrated with MK Ultra and
I
Hollywood.
uh
And that's
uh,
how, like,
uh
I think everybody's so addicted to their cell phone, like they don't even know how to put it down and have a conversation.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
gotten to that level.
Yeah, the music industry has really done a number on the population because sound is vibration.
Oh yeah, it's a way that
Vibration.
they can use mind control with those
Yep.
frequencies to
Yep.
control you. Your
Yep. Yep.
even if it's your subconscious that you don't even know. And some of them have like the backlash where it's like, I love Satan, hail Satan, and your brain doesn't interpret it backwards, or it
Right.
does interpret it backwards. I'm sorry, even
Right.
though like you can't understand it, but yeah, your
Yeah.
brain does.
Just like some of these television programs, like the station MTV. If you sit there and you say MTV, 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 it says empty.
Uh
Say
huh.
empty. Say if you say MTV really quick a few times, you'll realize you're saying empty.
Right.
And that's what people are when they sit there and watch MTV 24/7. They're empty. They don't do anything. They don't go anywhere. They don't really think at all. And
And they're being
I mean,
programmed and they don't realize it. And actually, a lot of like MK Ultra, they'll use, for example, the Wizard of Oz, to
yep,
mind
yep,
control even at a young age, and it's something people don't even know about. They don't realize it. Innocently they allow their children to watch these things, and like Coraline's another one. That's a newer one that's out. Like there are a lot of MK movies where they put different subliminal like symbols, satanic symbolism and different things that you don't even realize, but it's programming you.
yeah, yeah. It's subliminal programming, and the people behind it are like professionals. They're artists at it. In the
Right.
corporate world, they hire these people to do all the album cover work for the artist. I used to watch these people that would become artists, and if you look at them before they got discovered and became famous, and you look at them afterwards, there's nothing original there anymore. Their whole image has
No.
been changed. All their album work, cover work is done by somebody else, and there's no real independence. It's like the corporate world completely strips somebody of any type of spirituality they have or anything that was intended for their music. I heard a Christian
Right.
rapper one. I heard a Christian rapper one time say that when he was going to get he was going to get a record deal, and they were going to pay him really good. He had a lot of talent, and he was a Christian. And he told them, he said, I'm rapping for Christ. I'm doing this for Jesus. I'm a Christian. I'm doing this for Jesus. And they wanted him to drop everything Christian. Then they wanted him to talk about like swear more and be vulgar, and they were literally trying to take away his spiritual relationship or his religious relationship definitely, and strip him of all that and turn him into sort of like a mascot, like a little puppet demonic mascot for all the little
Yep.
kids out there to look up to. And you see these guys like Lil Wayne, and I don't have anything against Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne is a young guy. He's an artist. He's in the corporate world. I can't blame him. If that's what he wants to do, that's what he wants to do. But Lil Wayne's a millionaire. And then Lil Wayne promotes gangs. He started promoting gangs and all this stuff. He wasn't doing that before he was rich.
Right. A
So
lot of
what?
them
So
sell their souls to Satan, and they do it
yeah,
for fame
yeah,
and
yeah.
fortune, because of the
Right,
secret societies that
right, right,
rule
right,
the
right,
world, really.
right. Lil Wayne was not
Lot.
doing that before. Lil Wayne was not doing that before he was rich. And
Right.
but he's promoting the image, and I gotta think, why is he promoting this image so much? Why would he promote that? And then next thing you know, he's riding skateboards and doing heavy metal music and all this stuff. So it's obvious that these corporations are into molding people and creating a demonic frequency and attaching that to the youth, you know.
Right.
And so now, when if he would have came out talking about go to college and get a degree? I've never seen any rapper ever really do that. I've seen them do and talk about that in interviews and stuff, but I've never really seen a rap artist get on there and just tell people to go to college and get degrees and stuff like that. You never really see stuff like
That's
that.
true. I
Yeah,
think
like
of
look what
old
happened.
school rap that was inspirational, but anything new that's out, no.
Right. Like look at Dark Man X, DMX. DMX when DMX came out, he was like the quickest selling artist or something of his time, and he immediately hit Hollywood with movies with Jet Li and everything, and he was doing really good. And he had some hard times. I think he was a drug user at one point and whatnot. But DMX was very moral. He was very spiritual. He came from the street life, but he had a good heart from what I've seen of him. And then he started talking about God and his music and all this stuff, and they kind of just went after him after that. And
Right.
so, it gets to the point to where us people being gang stalked, we got to look at the whole society in general. For something, there's an old saying that the Russians have. The Russians say a fish rots from the head out, meaning whatever's going on at the top is coming down to the bottom. And we got to look at the whole scenario of the American culture,
Right, the
the
big
Western
picture.
culture. Yeah, we got to look at the big picture. We're being gang stalked and all this is happening to us, but there's a lot of other stuff going on in our culture. And the gang stalking is sort of reflective of where we're at in society as people.
True. And this is
It's
happening
really
all around the world, not just in the United States of America.
oh,
I've
yeah,
talked to other TIs from, Canada, Australia, like all different parts, England. So it's
yeah,
happening
England
everywhere.
Sure. I had a woman in Argentina contact me. She emailed me and she was just like, I want to talk to you about gang stalking. And originally she was from the Ukraine, then she moved to Florida for a while, then she ended up in Argentina, and she was getting gang stalked. She was a very beautiful woman, but she said I can't even have a boyfriend. I said,
Right.
why? She said, if I have a boyfriend, they'll go to him and get him to do the gang stalking, and next thing you know, we'll break up. And it's like these people are attacking the essence of humanity. They're
Right.
attacking the human spirit and the human mind, and they use a lot of demonic people or corrupt people to help them with that agenda. See, these people go either way. A lot of these people, if they started getting in trouble for what they were doing, they would stop doing it out of fear. These people are very flimsy, weak people. They'll go either way. And the people who the architects and the creators of this stuff, they're not worried about them. The people that they pick to do the gang stalking, they do psychological profiles on these people and then move them up through the ranks. And they look at these people. They know that these people are sociopaths, or the people on the bottom level that we see on the streets. They're easily corruptible. They might get gang stalked next. A lot of these people are probably being experimented on, and they don't even know it. And they're really worried about the spiritual people. They're really worried about the people who have intuition and insight, who can see through the illusions. They're trying to create some sort of time barrier to stop us from making progress to where our future is going to lead. And
they don't want us to wake up. They want us to be programmed sheeple, and God forbid if you don't obey and conform, they will kill you, or they'll make you want to kill yourself by psychologically abusing you. And they'll use your loved ones, anything that you care about. They will try and destroy. And it's like soul rape, really.
Yeah,
it is
exactly
the worst type of abuse that somebody could endure.
Right. And the very sociopathic people, the very evil people, those aren't the ones really running anything. The real mindset of the people behind this, ideologically, are not really human. They may even be, and I know my listeners might not agree with me on this, and you might not even agree, but I'm under the great impression that the people at the top, speaking out in secret societies, I think a lot of them aren't human as we think of humans. They may look human, but that doesn't mean their DNA is the same as us. So they may look at people like us differently, and some of them may be half human, or some of them might not be human at all, but then they use a lot of sociopathic, deranged, demented humans to carry out their work, and they make those people feel powerful and important, and like they can do anything, and they're just using them to carry out their agenda.
Right, evil agenda.
They're using humans against humans, and
the divide and conquer agenda. It works every time. It's still working to this day, unfortunately.
Right. And they don't respect them. They do not respect them because it's the same thing on the streets. You recruit somebody into some local neighborhood gang or something, and you know he's really scared. You know if he gets caught, he's gonna tell. You know he's not gonna fight. You know he's scared and he just wants protection. And they don't really
Right.
respect people. They don't really respect them. And it's the same thing with this gang stalking stuff. They don't respect these people. They know they're cowards. They know they're weak. They know
Yeah,
that
they're just
they
using
know
them for their evil
right,
agenda. They could care less what
right.
happens to them.
They
They'll
care
just
less.
get
They know
another
they
one.
yeah, go get another one. They know they can't stand on their own. They know they'll fall for anything, and so they don't really respect them. They laugh about them behind their back and they manipulate them. They don't respect these people. They don't
Right.
respect them. They don't respect them worth a fuck because the people don't respect themselves. And so you really got to look at it realistically. And so these people are going to be their own destruction. In the
That's
end, it's
true.
inevitable. They're going to be their
I
own
agree.
destruction. you know. And and you got to think about mind control. It used to be religions. The Christian religion was used for mind control. The Muslim religion, Islam, was used for mind control. A lot of religions have been used for mind control, and we're in an era to
And
where
still are. Actually, I know a lot
still,
of PIs that get gang stalked in church.
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
they've even infiltrated with like, Hitler's social engineering, everything, including religion. It's
right,
heartbreaking.
right. And they don't, and that's the old slave. That's the old 1.0 slave grid. Religions went so far, and then they came out communism, socialism, capitalism, any kind of ism you can think of.
Mhm.
And you've had a whole network of organizations working on it, Fabian Society, Tavistock Institute, the list goes on. And what they do is they create new slave grids for the people with the illusion that they got some sort of freedom going on. And at each generation, they got to remodel their slave grid. So now we're moving into the 2.0 slave grid, and they got to reshape it and reshape it. And that's why this gang stalking stuff is coming along. It's a way to try to keep the slave grid going, so to speak.
Right.
To keep that whip cracking, to keep that old school slave mentality going. They just remolded it for a newer generation. And you know so people are really weak right now, and they don't feel like they have any strength. They don't feel like they have any power. They won't seek knowledge and education. They won't spiritually raise themselves up, and they have to do that to continue. If they can't do that, then they're not gonna, they're not gonna be able to. I don't see how they can hold their head up high.
Right.
To be honest with you.
I think people have been so lost, like they've lost sight of why we're really here. We're all God's children, we're here for a purpose, and that's to serve our Father. And,
Right.
I believe I'm a very spiritual woman, but I don't go to church. I do believe a lot of churches, even, I was raised Catholic, the Catholic Church in particular, they molest children, and the Pope is the protector of pedophiles everywhere. This is something that happens for the trauma-based mind control. They have to be able to traumatize a child by molesting them in order for them to split, so they can be a MK slave for them. And they will use the Catholic Church to do this kind of ritualistic, and I believe it's satanic ritualistic abuse. It's
Yeah.
pure
Yeah.
evil, and
Yeah.
a lot of brainwashing and mind control and evil things, like I just explained, happen in church. And I mean, it's heartbreaking.
Right, right. It's some dirty stuff going on out there, and I think people, the family unit, is under such attack.
For
To the
sure.
point,
Oh God,
to the
yeah.
point, you know, and because if you really think about it, there used to be a time where people didn't really need much money. They could still get by. They could still do stuff. And Americans are so self-centered, especially like everybody has to have the newest phone, the newest car. Everybody has to have
Mhm.
this and that, and they
Right.
don't really need this. They don't need this stuff. if you really think about it, people don't need the newest phone. They don't need the newest car. I mean, they're cool gadgets to have, but people don't need them, but they think they need them.
Right.
People are being sold into things they don't need. They're being brainwashed, like you said. They're out here molesting people, messing up people's minds and stuff like that. Uh, the drug culture is really horrible. You know, Americans spend billions of dollars on drugs every year. The schools are drugging children up to the eyeballs and Adderall and whatnot. They got these big
Oh
warehouses
yeah.
full of drugs that they got to peddle off. So they're telling every child that they can that there's something wrong with them, so they can sell them their drugs. And
Yep.
you know, yeah, yeah, it's
Psychiatry
really
is
amazing.
used also for the depopulation and agenda of the New World Order and the global elite. Psych meds kill more people than decades of war. And yeah, they start them young. That was one of the drugs that my grandfather, Jose Delgado, drugged me with as a child, and I was labeled with ADHD. I know for a fact from being a lab rat, for these mind control experimentations that they all get together, these psychiatrists, like my grandfather, and they sit in the room together and they make up the DSM. There is not one measurable test to accurately and scientifically prove that any mental illness truly exists. They are all, it's all made up. Like being gay used to be in the DSM as a mental illness. Now it's not. There is no test to prove. There is no cure. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is all pseudoscience, and it is killing hundreds and thousands of people each year because they're going, living in the society. They're getting depressed. They're going and getting diagnosed and getting on these extremely dangerous medications that now are so advanced. They're like a chemical lobotomy. You don't have to get a lobotomy anymore. They got a pill for that. And it's killing hundreds and thousands of people, and they are starting young. They now have a DSM for 0 to 3 years old. They are drugging children with drugs that would make you fall over and drool on yourself as a baby. And you're right, they're just being children. They're misdiagnosing, and they're throwing this Adderall and that's a mind control drug. Adderall, Prozac. These are drugs that they can use to program you with MK Ultra. You don't need the LSD like back in the day. They have all these new things, and
Right, right,
it's detrimental.
right,
It's an epidemic that nobody
right.
talks about.
Yeah, it's very it's really crazy because the people go to these drugs like the drugs are going to actually help them to actually cure them of something. The drugs don't cure anybody of anything. They're just a
No.
substitute. They're just some sort of substitute, insufficient substitute. And I went through an experience where they tried to force drugs on me. Now I'm a walker. I can usually walk 15, 20 miles, no problem. I haven't had a car in a few years. I don't even want one, to be honest with you. I do have the money. I could get one if I want one, but I don't even care. But
I love
I
it.
went on a
Walking's great exercise.
yeah, most definitely. I went on a 37-mile walk, and this was at
Wow.
this was 1.5 years after being gang stalked. It was a time in my life where there was a lot of negativity going on. I was arguing back and forth with somebody I was living with. So I ended up going on a 37-mile walk, gang stalked the
Wow.
whole way. People in my area followed me all 37 miles, gang stalking me, doing gang stalking assignments. All the communities that walked by were doing it.
I believe it.
Now, yeah, right. So I got 37 miles away, and the police had stopped me and asked me if I want to ride home, and I said no. And they said, well, it's cold out here. It wasn't snowing or anything, but it was a little bit cold. But they said, now listen, we don't feel comfortable. I don't feel comfortable leaving you here. Why don't I call an ambulance? You can go back. You can, go get checked out for hypothermia and all this stuff. So they ended up calling the ambulance, and some of the people in the area that gang stalked me where I live, they were actually driving by me at that time, 37 miles away, doing gang stalking assignments while it was happening.
Oh
It
wow.
sounds yeah, it might sound unbelievable. This
No,
is
I
exactly
totally believe it. And
No,
a lot
this
of gang
happens.
stalkers will be people who work in an ambulance
Right.
too, and
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
ones that
Oh.
like
Yep.
they must have some type of system where if you go to a hospital, because they can reprogram you there, or an
Right.
ambulance too. So
Right.
that's interesting
Right.
that they sent an ambulance.
Right. 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 And so I get to the hospital
Uh
and they're
huh.
trying to tell me that I got hypothermia and whatnot. And they said, give us a number of somebody we can call. I gave them my mother's number. They call my mother down there, and two women are in the lobby, and they end up talking to my mother, and they ask my mother, does Jameel feel that people are following him? Of course, I feel people are following me. I've been getting harassed by a neighborhood watch group for a year and a half, and
Right.
so she tells them, yeah. The doctor comes
Uh-huh.
to me. The doctor comes to me and asks me two questions. The first question was something about why was I out walking, and I said, "Man, I'm thirsty, man. I just got done walking miles. Let me have a glass of water." And he said, "Hold up, just answer these questions." And he asked me another question. I said, "Man, give me a glass of water, man." Then he wrote something down real quick, disappeared. Then they had my mother sign a paper, and then they came back saying they were going to involuntarily commit me to the psychiatric ward. All I did was ask for a glass of water twice, and so then they asked her, was people following me? So they came up with some scenario that I was delusional or something, and they put me. I was in ER for like 3 days, 4 days maybe, but I ended up in a psychiatric ward for 10 days just for asking for a glass of water twice. The whole staff at the hospital was doing gang stalking assignments on me. All the women there, all the nurses
Yeah,
there.
that's where they do reprogramming for MK is
Yeah,
at mental
right.
hospitals, and they will. I mean, they'll falsely accuse you and get you locked up in jail. They will get it to where you are involuntary in a mental hospital, and that's part of the game plan of these evil souls. Because once you're labeled as crazy, nobody's gonna believe you.
Right, right. And when I got to the hospital, all the people in the hospital were doing like different sorts of gangs, like doing the same thing people did on the street, kept walking by me,
Yeah.
wearing red shirts, all that stuff. So I'm in the psychiatric ward. Then some of the people that lived in my area that were gang stalking me were driving by the hospital windows at certain times while I was in the psychiatric ward. I'm being for real. I'm not joking. This was really going on.
Right. Now,
So
I believe you
yeah.
because it's
Oh
happened to
yeah.
me. Like, I
Yeah.
know what you're saying is
Yeah.
true. This
Yeah.
is what
Yeah. And
they
so
do. I mean,
yep.
I
Yep.
couldn't tell you how many times I've ended up in an ambulance, ended up in the hospital. Like,
Yep.
it's so many
Yep.
I can't even count. That's
Then while I'm in the psychiatric ward, they brought some drugs to my room, and the nurse said, "Oh, the doctor wants you to take these." And I said, "I didn't agree to take anything like that." And the next day, the doctor came out like, "What's going on? You don't want to take your pills, your pills?" I said, "What do you mean? You didn't write me a script for any pills. I didn't agree to take any pills." And he started saying, "If you want to get better, you got to take the pills." And I looked at
right.
him dead in his eye. I said, "Well, whatever the side effects are, can I see him?" He started explaining the side effects to me. I said, now, can you guarantee me that these drugs will not give me any other side effects besides what's already specified? And he said, I can't guarantee you that. And I said, well, if you can't guarantee me that these drugs will not do something to me other than what's there, why would I be interested in taking some drugs? And
Right.
he started looking at the nurse kind of weird and stuff. And then he tried to come back and give it to me. I said, man, I'm not taking the drugs, man. I'm not taking the drugs. And then
That's how
they
they
were
try and control you is through the psych meds
yeah,
and the gang stalking
yeah,
program. Like, it's the same thing. Like,
yeah,
those drugs are so dangerous too. Dr. Peter Breggins speaks about the dangers of all these psych meds and how it is like it completely destroys your third eye, which is what the New World Order wants. They don't want your
right,
spiritual
right,
eye to be open. And that's
right,
what they do. Like the main ingredient in Prozac is fluoride. Fluoride completely destroys your third eye, your pineal gland. And from taking Prozac, I've been on psych meds, the majority of my life. Once I realized I was, being programmed and controlled by these medications, I stopped. And I've been able to deprogram my mind.
Right.
But like
Right.
Dr. Peter Breggins, he talks about Prozac, and it's like it'll take 20 years off of your life. It causes like pretty much like you have dementia, you have complete brain damage. It destroys your brain. There is never anything. The theory of chemical imbalance was inaccurate. It's a bunch of bullshit. And what they're doing is giving you this medicine that creates a chemical imbalance in you.
Creates it.
You
Yep.
know, there's no brain scan. You would think, like, if you went to any other regular doctor, you would get, right, like a X-ray, a MRI before they would give you a medication, and then they would be able to measure if it's working or not by the lab work. There's none of that at all. Like you said, you say you wanted a glass of water, and now you have to go to a mental hospital and be on a hold. You know what I'm saying? That's insanity. And I ended up with a autoimmune disease from Prozac, and that was not labeled on the side effects.
I went to the.
But I know some people have successfully sued Eli Lilly because of the horrible side effects. And the majority of these medications, the side effect is suicide or homicide. Every single one of the mass shootings, they were all on psych meds, all of them, because that's how they can be controlled with the mind control. They have to be in that state of, you know, just out of it. I mean, taking those medications is, some of them are stronger than the street drugs that you can get.
Yeah.
You're like a walking zombie.
And then I had to go through a big court hearing over it. They wanted to have a probate court thing. Basically, they were sitting up there talking about, well, you know, we'll go through a big court process with the judge, and there was a room with a television screen in the room, and they were just like, you know, we're going to go and talk to the judge on the TV and see. I said, man, well, give me an independent test, right? Give me an independent test. Call somebody and you're independent. You know, all I did was ask for a glass of water. And so he was like, if you do that, you could be here. It was some lawyer I never even seen before in my life. He comes in there and says, I'm going to represent you in this. And so he's saying, you know, you could be here weeks and whatever like that, blah, 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 blah. And I said, you know, that's okay, man. I don't got a problem with that. And so, you know, they didn't really want to, he acted like he really didn't want to go, he didn't really want that to happen. And then the judge never showed up. They tried bringing me back in there twice, and the judge, for some reason or not, just did not show up. And so on the TV, I don't think the judge was even going to show up. I just think they were just trying to do that to scare me, because one of the people working there told me that, like, they've never seen anybody come in there and not take the drugs. And I said, well, I'm not taking them. And they said, and so when I ended up leaving, the guy working there said he had been there 18 years and he never saw anybody come in there and not take the drugs. And, you know, the whole time I'm in there, I'm like basically fighting for my life. I'm telling them, I'm like, I'm not taking the drugs. And, you know, I told the lawyer guy, I was like, listen, this medical document, if we're going to bring this into court, we need a law dictionary, because it's a legal situation, it's legalese. We need a medical dictionary, and we need a regular English grammar dictionary, because there's 3 languages. There's medical terminology, legal. How are we going to interpret this document? Legal terminology or medical terminology? Because these words mean something different in medicine, and they mean something different in legalese, and they mean something different in regular English grammar. I need 3 of these dictionaries present to be able to give you any kind of conclusion to. And then when I started talking like that, then he was just like, fuck it, let him go. You know what I mean? He thought he was dealing with a dummy or something. And when I started talking like that, he was just like let it go, just, you know. And so but when I walked out of there, he looked like he had respected my decision and all that stuff. So they ended up letting me go. And as soon as I leave, I started up a website called beatgangstalking.com, and then I just went and got like a whole bunch of flyers. I mean, like 100 flyers. And like I was outside the hospital that I was at, passing flyers out to people, like bombarding people with. I was pissed. I went and got 100 flyers, and I just lit it up. I was all over.
It's so sad that that's something, like, you know, you're supposed to go to a mental hospital to get help, right? But you usually end up going and you're 10 times more traumatized once you leave, you know? Like, it's not a helpful environment. It's a traumatizing environment. It's like worse than jail.
Right.
So,
right.
I mean,
it was a really interesting thing to see, because people had been telling me that they were going to psychiatric wards, and I didn't know how that worked. And now I see how it worked. I ended up in a psychiatric ward. I never had a medical. I never went to never in my life. Why would I wait till I was like 31 years old to have a mental issue? That doesn't make any sense. When people have
Right.
psychiatric issues, they have them earlier in life before their mid-20s. How the hell did I get through 31 years with a delusional issue?
Right.
That doesn't make any sense. There would have been some medical history of it before that, and that's exactly what one of the nurses said. One of the nurses said, "I agree with you. I don't think you should be here." And she said, "If I was you, I wouldn't take the pills either." And she said, "I was looking at your paperwork, and she said you have no medical history before this point." She said she said that it's extremely rare. Usually, if somebody is delusional or they're confused to the degree that they described you as, there would have been some medical history before this point. And then I
Right.
started,
Right.
I started explaining to her about the gang stalking, about the neighborhood watch program I was being stalked from, and she was saying, she was saying, well, I've never really heard of that before, and I was explaining to her what was going on, and she was doing the gang stalking assignments too, and I just started saying, Google gang stalking, this is how it works. They spread disinformation, come up with a reason for why people got to do like uh small checks on you and stuff like that, and I was like, this has been going on with me for a year and a half, and that's part of the reason how I got here. And she said, well, she seemed pretty interested by it. And so, this is a thing to where people are literally people this is a thing to where people are literally going to psychiatric wards. People are literally being put in jail for things they did not do.
Yes,
They're
they will
being
falsely accuse you and put you
yeah,
in jail.
yeah,
Absolutely.
people are fabricating testimonies against people, coming up with false things that never even happened, lying on people. They're doing that to people, putting them away in wards, putting them in jail. I mean, this stuff is real. Gang stalking is not a game. It's not a joke. And people who are not familiar with it have no education on the subject. They have no knowledge on the subject. They don't even have a right to place an opinion on something that they haven't studied.
Right, they'll just
They don't
instantly
even.
say you're schizophrenic, which
Yeah,
actually I think is
yeah.
all part of their game. Because once
It is.
you're
It's a
labeled,
game.
even legally, you have no rights. Like you were not allowed to leave. You are forced to stay in this
Right.
hospital, which is
Right. Right.
traumatizing in itself. To like
Yeah.
not
Oh,
be able to
yeah.
be free, to have to
Oh,
be locked in an institution and forcefully drugged, which I thank God that you never took those drugs, because let me tell you, coming off of them has been a nightmare for me.
yeah.
And it's not easy. I thank God that I was able to get off of them and be able to just reprogram my mind. I was on
Yeah.
them for so long, and they're very addictive, and I think that's one reason why there's like an opiate crisis too. Like there's so many people abusing Adderall, and when
Right.
they can't get other drugs, like they end up going to the street drugs. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. Yep.
And
And
it's
I was covert.
killing hundreds of thousands of people too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I was covertly drugged at restaurants. I had never been covertly drugged until the spring of 2016. The gang stalking started in the summer of 2015, and by the spring of 2016, I had went to Phoenix for a couple of weeks, where the gang stalking was so bad, I just got tired of the same people stalking me every day, and so I ended up
Right.
going to Phoenix for a couple of weeks, and that's where I taught myself how to approach the gang stalkers, and that's how I taught myself how to get involved. The cops were doing it in Phoenix, but to be honest with you, it wasn't a bad experience. A lot of times they were smiling and they were really cool. I've had a much better relationship with the police outside of the area that I live at. That's one thing that I have to say about the police is the police in Phoenix were really cool. They were really cool. They knew I was being gang stalked. They were doing the assignments on me, but they were really good. They were really cool. They were really cool. I got to say that there's another city where the cops are pretty cool. They know I'm being gang stalked. They see me, and they're really honest about it. I never had a problem with them. It's just where I live at. I've had the most problem with the police and the negativity of the gang stalking. But the other areas where I was in Phoenix, they waved at me. I started waving back at them, and they were smiling. And then I realized, wait a minute, I can turn this into a positive thing. And so I started approaching different people at stores and stuff, telling them about gang stalking. And whoever was orchestrating the gang stalking in that area, they saw that I wasn't backing down. Like they would get gang members to come approach me and stuff like that, and like try to intimidate me. And I started engaging the gang members and talking to the gang members, and they respected me. They were cool. And,
That's cool.
and yeah, it was really cool. They started using then they started using like racist looking white guys, and I would start talking to them, and a lot of them were cool. There was an exception for one of them, but most of them, like, I'm the type of person, if you're right with me, I'm right with you. I don't care who you are. And so
Right.
And the people who were orchestrating the gang stalking, they started networking me to get my food drugged. And I started going to restaurants in Phoenix, and I remember going into one restaurant and eating, and I left the restaurant, and I literally felt like I was going to die. I got real dizzy. My vision was blurry. I was hearing weird noises, like buzzing sounds and stuff, and my blood pressure had went up. I was like, man, what's going on? What'd they do? And it was a real horrible feeling. I'll never forget it. And my food's been drugged multiple times. I would say my food's been drugged about at least 7 or 8 times. I've had that experience.
That's happened to me as well.
My mother brought home a pizza one time, and there was drugs in it, and she was bringing it home just for me. And so they had drugged the food. I ate it. I got sick. Me and my mother got into an argument about it because I told her to try it, and she was telling me I was hallucinating. And this is the sick, strange stuff I've had to go through. If somebody out there in the public actually knew what has been done to me, they would be shocked.
Right.
Electronical weapons. When
fact is stranger than fiction, but these are evil demonic souls, and it's the truth. Like they really are psychologically abusing us. And
more than abuse.
They do. They'll even try and kill you. They'll poison you. They'll kill your dog. Like it is just so traumatizing. Getting
girls to drive by me and look at me in the eye with another guy in the car just to mess with me. And everywhere I go, they try to get the same people to do it repeatedly when all I want to do is be left alone. They've done some really strange, sick stuff, and people out there have no idea in the world what it is like to be targeted by a stalking network. They don't get it. They're either pseudo-skeptic.
They can't unless it's happened to them. I truly believe. I've tried to explain it to my friends, and they just think I'm crazy,
Right. Yeah, any old
and
reject,
I understand. I'm like, I think I'm crazy too. It sounds crazy. I understand. It's really hard to explain, and it is so it's every day of the abuse.
And
it gets to you, and you end up snapping. There's only so much you can take.
Yeah, and I've been living it for 3 years. 3 years. I ended up hiding in the house I ended up hiding in the house for a month, thinking people were trying to kill me, and my mother thought I was crazy. I was begging her to take the trash out. I ended up having to crawl down alleys and hide under cars.
Sorry. That's terrible.
I've had to hide under cars. There are 2 times in my life I've ran across the highway in broad daylight with cars speeding at me, like something out of a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie or something.
Right.
I'm serious. Like Lethal Weapon or something like that. Like literally.
I've had the same thing, so I believe I've done the same thing. It's all the mind control. It's a psychological abuse. They're trying to break your psyche, your soul. And thank God that you have the faith and you believe in God. I feel for the TIs that don't have a spiritual relationship. I don't know how they survive it.
Yeah, I've had helicopters. I've had black helicopters. Some of the helicopters look like regular commercial helicopters, but I remember at least one time there was an all black helicopter. I remember one time I was at a this is just normal. This is just normal life. I remember one time I was at a restaurant, and this was in Phoenix, and I called for a cab. Instead of a cab showing up, an all-black SUV showed up, and it was a type of scenario like, now we're going to do something to you, we're going to hurt you. And the guy got out of the car. He's like, "Yeah, you called the cab. It's me." And I'm like, "I'm not going in there." I'm looking at the cab like, "You pulled up in the all-black SUV." He's like, "I'm not going with you." And he's looking at me like, yeah, he's like, "You're a big man. You're scared. You're scared. Why are you scared? You're a big man." And there's like women sitting there and stuff. And so I'm like, damn, I can't be, you know what I mean? So
right.
I end up going with, I'm thinking like, there's somebody in the back seat with a taser or something. They're going to take me out to the desert or something like that. And so I get inside there, and then he says, "Yeah, man." He pulls out like a bag of business cards. And he's like, "Yeah, anything you want. You want girls? You need some weed? You want to get high? Anything you want? Hit me up. Where are you going?" Yeah, I felt so relieved. And when we were driving, I was looking at all the exits on the highway. I'm waiting for this guy to take off and hit a side road and go out to the desert or something like that. I'm just like, man, what's happened to my life? And people, this stuff was an everyday way of life. You know what I mean?
Right.
Hiding under cars and running across highways, getting drugged, electronic weapons. There used to be a time where I was getting death threats. People were telling me they were going to kill me. Emails, phone calls, text messages, and I didn't even know what was going on. I was being gang stalked.
That's all.
So
everything that you've experienced has happened to me too. Everything.
Yeah.
I'm actually having to deal with a hit and run. You want to hear a funny story? So one of my gang stalkers, she was an escort that was being paid to gang stalk me. And this is when I was living in 500 Northside, where I told you I found the tunnels and all that stuff. So I was turning into the apartment complex, and her apartment was like right where you turn in. She comes running after my car and hits my car with a huge rock. So my car like swerves and hits another car in the apartment complex. So I get out the car and she's like, "I'm gonna fucking kill you, bitch!" You know, like just going off, like running towards me, still trying to throw rocks at me. I can't even make this up, rocks. And so I tell the girl, I'm like, I'm in the J building, you know, and I got back in the car and I went in my apartment, and the police called me, and I told them the whole story, everything that happened. I thought I was cool, right? Everything was all good. The next day when I wake up, 3 of my tires were slashed, and she had gotten a baseball bat and hit my car with it. So I called the police to try and press charges on her, and they were like, no, they wouldn't help me. Like, I've had a lot of times where I'm like, why aren't you guys helping me? But at that time, they said I had to go to the police station to get a warrant out for her arrest. I'm like, really? How am I going to do that? I just got like 3 slashed tires. Like, come on, why can't you just do your job and arrest her? Like, y'all know what was going on. Y'all were just out here yesterday, you know? And I ended up getting charged with a hit and run that I didn't know about, had a warrant out for my arrest, and had to go to jail. And now I have a lawyer, and I'm having to go to court because the woman that I bumped cars is suing me for almost $40,000. Yeah.
Right.
And it's crazy because she had told the police, she was a witness. She didn't mention to the police that she was running after me, telling me she was going to kill me, trying to hurt me, and throwing rocks at my car. She just said that I had hit the woman's car and that I ran off into the woods.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
That should be interesting how that goes.
Right. Yeah, you know, it's really, you know, I know I haven't had that scenario happen to me, but I know exactly how it feels to have these things happen to you. It's like you're bombarded 24/7 by these attacks.
Right.
And
I've actually literally had them try to attack me and shoot guns at me. Like, I've had to dodge and go under, like, stairs to dodge bullets. Like, I have had it to that level.
Jesus, man,
Yeah.
that's pretty. Wow.
It's by the grace of God I'm alive. Thank God I have the faith that I do, because I really, and I have to listen to my intuition. That's one thing that I've gained from, I guess, all the trauma. Like, I know when to, like, go, you know what I'm saying? Or when I'm in trouble, like when these evil souls are about to hurt me, I know, and I'm like on guard instant, to protect myself.
Right.
But I have to listen to my gut. Like, my gut has also helped me a lot in this,
Yeah, most definitely.
situation.
Mine too. Yeah. No, mine too. I remember walking for hours and hours and hours, and it'd be nothing but rows of cars with their headlights on. And I remember when I first.
What's up with that? I'm like, it's during the day. Why are there headlights? Like, is that some type of programming? Like, I don't understand. But that's one thing I noticed too, even out here in the country, and always Rams for me, like red or black Dodge Rams.
Yeah, red and black. Yeah, same thing with me. All black cars or all red cars or whatever. But I remember how intimidating that was the first time I saw that. And when I first started getting gang stalked, I never seen cars with their headlights. I never seen anything.
Yeah.
They were trying. It was as soon as I figured out I was being gang stalked, that's when they came out with that kind of stuff. And it would just be literally rows and rows and rows and rows of cars, and it was just such an intimidating feeling. I felt, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna? I remember seeing that, and I thought to myself, this isn't gonna stop. What am I going to do? This is serious. Every store I went to, people were doing it. Everybody I knew was involved with it. And I just thought to myself, I'm in trouble. This is serious. This isn't a joke. And nobody was coming to help. Nobody was coming to explain anything to me. Nobody was coming to help me. Nobody even knew what I was talking about. And I said, this is a real. This is serious. This is serious right here, And so I had to learn. I had to teach myself. Eventually I just started communicating with the people and talking to them, and I had a scenario where there were certain individuals stalking me repeatedly every day. That was a horrible thing within itself, a whole nother situation. But the intimidation of then they would have big trucks, semis blinking their lights, and then they had a thing to where they would have cars driving down the street, and they would move over where I was walking and speed at me like they were going to hit me and kill me and run me over. And then at the last minute, they would turn away and keep going. Then they would have cars come and then move to the opposite side of the road, like away from me, like getting away from me thing. And they would do that over and over again. So I didn't know what to think of this. In Michigan's rule, there's some areas with no sidewalks, and I probably had about 50 to 100 cars easily come at me like they were going to hit me and kill me, and then move away at the last
I'm surprised they didn't, to be honest with you, because that's what happened with my ex-girlfriend twice. And I'm like, how does somebody get hit by a car twice? Like, that. What kind of luck is that? But yeah, they will literally run you off the road and cause you to have an accident so they can reprogram you in the hospital, or they'll try and kill you. Like, it is that deep and dangerous.
I remember one time I wanted to pick up a brick and just throw it through the window and smash the person in the head with it. I remember one time it was somebody, there was a brick on the ground. I saw that brick. I wanted to pick that brick up and just smash the person in the face with it as hard as I could. And I had to go through that every single day for a long time. And
it'll make you angry. No matter how godly you are and how spiritual, like, after being abused, it's like a bully abusing a little kid over and over again. Finally, like, you're gonna want to fight back. The provocation, that's what they want. So once you do finally fight back, then they get you arrested. You're in jail.
Yeah. And
that's what they want. They're trying to provoke you to the point where you go out in anger and rage and just,
that's
go crazy.
Nonstop stalking and harassment. That's what it's all about. And I remember, you know how they do the
trauma.
You know how they do the exit entry tactic. You walk or drive into a store, and then 3 cars pull out and 2 new cars pull in at the same time.
Oh yeah, every single time.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah,
store,
yeah.
sometimes the people that work there, they're like, wow, I thought I was going to be bored today. It's been so dead. Now all of a sudden, everybody's here. I'm like,
Right, right.
heard
Or be
that too
walking
many
down the side.
times.
Yeah, yeah. Or walking down the sidewalk and people will already be in their cars and they wait till you get in front of their their driveway, and then they pull back like they're going to hit you or something when you're walking by, and it happens like 10 times in one day, you know. It, it's so much stuff, you know. It's so
Right.
much stuff. And I ended up meeting a woman that I was dating for a couple months, and through her I was able to learn that these people use apps. She had a phone app
Oh yeah, the
in
cell
which,
phone like makes it really easy for them. You don't even have to be smart to,
yeah,
follow whatever the red dot.
yeah, she had a little phone app with a map on there, and
Mhm.
periodically throughout the day it would show her where to drive past me to do the gang stalking assignments. And this was somebody who was like sleeping in my bed. We would hang out all the time, and I didn't really know her that well. We just ended up getting familiar with each other, and then she just kept like she would sleep over here sometimes and stuff. And so when she woke up in the morning, she would get a phone call or she'd get a text or whatever. They would tell her what color clothes to wear. She'd be wearing black and red and stuff like that. And I didn't know her at the time, but she ended up being a drug addict. Like, she might not even been doing drugs when I first met her, or she might have, but she was just keeping it real low key because she didn't look like the type of person who did drugs. Then I found out she was using heroin, and I could tell, like, but she was getting like $50 Walmart cards and stuff to do it, money sent to her PayPal, and so she was like supporting a drug habit. And then
Yeah.
she would be like, and she had no driver's license, no license plate on her car, and she drove around everywhere drunk and high and stuff. And I used to be, I never seen anybody in my life do that. Never. I've never seen anybody in my life do that. And I watched her do it for 2 months. It was pretty fascinating. But she ended up being a good person. She had a good heart. She was really cool. She was really, really cool. I really respect her. And but she showed me how it was working, and they started targeting her a little bit first, where when she started hanging out with me, she was getting weird things sent to her Facebook. She was getting weird phone calls and stuff. And she said, after I started hanging out with you, a bunch of weird stuff started happening. Then she told me, I was questioning her, and I found out that she was meeting people in person, and they were telling her stories about me, disinformation stories,
Yeah,
changing
smear
her
campaign.
perspective of yeah, changing her perspective of me, so she'll do the
Right.
gang stalking assignments. And so, but she remained like, I remember a few times I'd be walking down the street, and she would be following me around doing the gang stalking assignments. Then she would come pick me up shortly after that. And so I was like, wow, man, that's really cool. That's really cool. And so, but that's how I learned that. Before, I didn't know how it worked. I didn't know there was so much. I didn't know that they had the phone maps and all this stuff. I thought they just
Right.
had teams of people who were training them and telling them what to do. And I didn't know, like, maybe they get a phone call or something, but I didn't know they have these apps. And then I see they got community watch apps with the modified,
Yeah, the community watch groups you got to really watch for.
right. Yeah, yeah. And so,
Those are
right.
gang
So,
stalkers.
oh yeah. The neighborhood watch groups are nothing but terrorist
Mhm.
organizations, street terrorist organizations, And
Right.
this stuff has to do with neuro linguistic programming, color perception, the interference with the brain waves, alpha, beta, delta, theta, gamma. Um,
It's very much so
it
like the
has,
mind control MK Ultra that I've experienced, the
yeah,
beta
yeah,
and omega programming that I went through.
yeah. The mind control, the MK Ultra mind control. I always tell people, it might not be a Sirhan kind of scenario where they bring you into a laboratory and put you under electric shock and knock you unconscious for 45 days and do brain surgery on you and make you hear the same records over and over again. They might not be doing all that, but it is still a form of mind control, though.
Well, they use your cell phone now. I mean, they
Yeah,
call it a cell phone for a reason too. Like you're entrapped.
yeah,
Like people are, so obsessed and addicted to their cell phone. That's another way that they,
right.
you know, they've
Yeah,
upped the game.
yeah, yeah. No, no. And it is, that's why I said I created the confusion stage, distraction stage, sensitization stage. And that's what sensitization stage really relies on for most people is the color stalking through auto-suggestion they repeatedly show somebody the same color, like have all your neighbors follow you around red shirts, or they even dye their hair red and do all this different sorts of stuff. Then they'll attach emotional connotation onto it and get people that they perceive you to be emotionally attached to do this stuff to you more and more and more and more. So it's an emotional distress type of thing. They're really trying to emotionally terrorize and psychologically terrorize the individual. They just network it through the watch group scenario, these noise campaigns, all this sorts of stuff. And I just remember just I remember realizing that there's nothing good that comes out of this scenario. All the people that I've spoken to, and I've spoken to over 100 people, all of them have been severely traumatized. They're hurt people, they're suicidal, they're desperate,
Right.
they want to kill somebody. All the people that I've spoken to have been gang stalked. It's nothing but pain and horror and misery, and I don't this whole thing is demonic.
It is, and it's sad that, we can't go to law enforcement for help, and we can't, you know what I mean? Like, going to a mental hospital isn't help. That's just adding to the trauma. Like, there's not really, like, a lot of help out
Right.
for us. I've gotten the most
Right.
help just, like, talking to other TIs.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. It's no, we got to do it ourselves. Nobody's stepping in to help anybody.
No,
Nobody's going to
right.
show
We
up
got to
and
help
save
ourselves.
anybody. Right. Right. We got to help ourselves. Right. Yep. And so nobody's coming to do anything. So we better move. We better move on it quickly. And you know, because who knows where this stuff is going to lead to. You know. So, but then my biggest
Depopulation, unfortunately, and it's sad, but it's true.
right. Right
I
on.
know a lot of TIs can't take it, and they end up killing themselves. It's
or
heartbreaking.
they or they end up killing somebody else, because I always tell people, when I thought people were trying to kill me and I was hiding in my house for a month, had I had an old rifle laying around or some old pistol or something,
Right.
I would have used it.
Yeah.
I would have went outside and I would have let it go. And had there been children out there, they may have got hit. Had there been old people out there, they may have got hit. Because I don't know how to
Yeah,
use a
that's
gun.
scary.
There's no instruction manual with it. I just would have went out there and just let it go. Whoever was out there was out there. You know, whoever was going wherever the bullet landed is what it was going to be. And I don't see the justification in a scenario like that. I don't think it's healthy to to box people into unpredictable situations like that, because humans are animals. You put a raccoon in the corner, what is it going to do?
Right.
You put a raccoon in the corner, you're going to you're going to be in trouble.
Mhm.
You put a raccoon in the corner, you're going to be in trouble. You psychologically put people in corners and mess with people's minds, you're going to get some really dangerous results. You cannot
True.
go around messing with people's minds. It's not cool. And that's what these
There's
people are
been
doing.
even times with some of my gang stalkers where I have like gotten knives out. I'm like, if you go anywhere near me, like I will fuck you up. Like
Yeah,
that's it.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
it will, like, 'cause that's not in my nature to get that angry. But yeah, after so much provocation and being in fight
yeah,
or flight, like, and it will, like the confusion stage when you don't know what's going on. Like, I think that is a very natural reaction. Because
right,
you're like
right.
an animal in a corner, just like about to just attack to
Yeah,
free
yeah. You
itself.
got somebody. Yeah, somebody's hiding in their house and they think people are trying to kill them. And every time they look out the window, there's people driving by and stuff like that. There's if somebody else goes through that scenario and they have a gun, they're gonna use it. I'm glad
Yep.
I didn't have a
I
gun.
think that's why there's all these mass shootings for that
Yeah.
reason too,
Oh.
and they're all on
Oh.
the psych meds, and it's
Yeah.
a horrible combination because that's
Yeah.
when they do end up really doing it
I know people.
and killing innocent people.
I know people. I know people that I've known my whole life, and I know them. If this happens to them, they're gonna end up blowing somebody's head off. I know they
Right.
will.
They wouldn't be
There's
able to
people I
handle it.
no, yeah, you got that right. There's people that I know. I know for a fact, if this scenario happened to them, they would blow somebody's head off. I know that.
Right.
I know that for a fact. And
Yeah,
so
it's
it's not,
scary.
there needs to be more education on the subject, because
I
there's nothing
agree.
justifiable. It's not justifiable. It's just not justifiable. And I'm just glad that I had the mind that I had, and I was able to get a grip on what was going on and figure it out, because
Yeah.
it's just not cool to play with people's minds like that. There's nothing
No,
cool about it. It's not
I've
funny.
spent most of my life thinking I was crazy and just something was
Right.
wrong with me. I had no
Right.
idea. And I
Right.
don't think a lot of people do. Like when I talk to, and try and educate people, they've never heard of, Operation Paperclip, MK Ultra, gang stalking. They don't know what I'm talking about, and I didn't either. Especially when I
Right.
was programmed. I didn't know I was programmed when I was programmed.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. And so
I do think that if more people were aware of this, then we would get help and things would be able to change. But until then,
I remember one night. I
gotta
remember
pray.
one night. I remember one night I went out and stood on the street corner, and the cars were coming in at night, and I was flashing lights in their car at them, and that was pretty cool. I was standing out. This is after I found out I was being gang stalked, and I was learning more about
You
what it
started
looked
doing
like
it
and
back
how.
to them.
Yeah, yeah. It was at night. It was in the
I've
middle
done
of the
that
night.
too.
Yeah, I went out.
Yep.
I went out on the corner, and I stood on the corner, and the cars would be coming at me, and they were all people that I didn't even know. Some of them never even lived in the neighborhood, so I knew it was gang stalking. And they would drive by, and so I went and got a flashlight, and I started walking up to the car and just shining the light in their face when they were driving by, and like it was pretty funny. It was interesting to see that. This was right after it first started happening, and
I'm sure they don't
I
like
started.
having the same game played on them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There was a lot of there was a lot of times where I would take no cell phone with me, and I would take off running through alleys and houses and climbing through people's yards and going running in the woods and running through the city and stuff. And
Done
I
it
would try
too.
to lose the yeah, I would try to lose the gang stalkers, and I could never lose them. And then I figured out there has to be an aerial view. Somebody's watching me from the sky,
Yep,
because
air
there's no
stalking. There's not just street theater and street stalking and all that. There's
airs.
there's the
Right,
air stalking with the
right.
black helicopters, and actually the government leaked. I don't know if you know this or not, but pretty much the gang stalking program accidentally leaked all of this information out for the public to see. So anybody can Google this and see the government's gang stalking program, all the weapons they use, and actually how it affects each body part, everything. It explains it all,
Mhm. Yeah,
which gives
yeah.
me
Well,
hope for TIs. You know what I'm saying? Because at least now it's out for the public to see.
it better be, because people have to get a handle on this stuff, and they got to figure it out quick. Like my stuff is only really helpful to a certain extent. Like, I do work with people to identify gang stalking at a street level, like what happens, how you get how with the color coding and the noise campaigns and the street theaters. I help people to break the isolation and to talk to people and stuff like that.
That's
That's what I'm
awesome.
instrumental in. Right, right. But it's like you said, there's a much bigger picture though. Like
Mhm.
it's a much bigger picture
I
with
mean, we're
the
talking about
mind
military intelligent type of
yeah,
weapons. This is
yeah.
serious stuff.
These are
On the
these are
air
war
stalking
weapons.
level. Yeah, they are. They are war weapons
These
being used. That's the thing. There is a war on America, like, with,
right,
and that's the
right.
gang
It's a war.
stalking program. It's a
It's a war on
silent
the world.
war. Yeah,
Yeah,
right, right.
it's
You're
a
right.
war. It's a war on the whole planet. And and
Yeah.
and these are war weapons. You talk about acoustic
This
noise
is
weapons making
military intelligence involved using these weapons as well, high up.
at the very
And
least. And yeah, and this is serious stuff. Psychotronic weapons, electronic weapons, covert
right, they can
drugging,
fry you
acoustic.
from the inside. It's scary, like the physical symptoms too.
Yeah,
They can
mind
hit you with
control.
these, and I mean, you can be so sick, like,
Yeah,
with
yeah, mind.
severe
Right.
pain and throwing up, and like it can physically make you ill to the point where you can't even work.
Right. Right. Right.
Not
Exactly.
even just
Exactly.
psychologically. These weapons can physically make you
Yeah.
so
Oh yeah.
sick.
Yeah. People talk about it's psychological. It's more than it's part. It's yeah. It's psychological has a lot to do with it, but it's physical too. It's
Right.
physical. It's spiritual. It's psychological. And they're
Yeah, it's
spending a lot of
all
money on
domains.
it. Yeah.
Oh, a
They're
lot. They
spending.
have to. I remember one time I just got so frustrated because like the black helicopter had been circling my house for about 45 minutes and I was like, that's it, you know. So I just start like videotaping them and I put it on my Facebook, but this one had been disabled so I don't have the video anymore. But I'm like, this is what y'all are, you know, taxpayers are spending money on for this helicopter. I'm sure it's not cheap to be going around my house over and over again for 45 minutes. You know what I'm saying? Like really close too.
Right.
This is taxpayer money that's being paid to harass innocent innocent people.
And somebody wants us to. I'm going to tell you this. You know, and my God's a testimony to this. Somebody's in our favor.
Oh yeah.
There's
a lot of
force.
yes, the love consciousness of light and love. When there's evil, there's good. So yes, I do believe that spiritually we have nothing to worry about. We have an army of angels on our side, ready to fight.
There's some
right next to us.
There's somebody out there. There's some sort of force out there that's in our favor, and that
I
force is stronger.
agree.
That force is
it is
stronger
than theirs. Yes.
Yeah, it's way stronger.
Or we wouldn't be alive to talk about it.
Right. It makes them look like babies. The force that's out there is strong enough to make them look like babies. And I'm going to tell you something. This stuff has to do with genetics, DNA, and I think it's deeply connected to the activation of extraterrestrial DNA within our own DNA and having more capability. And the force that's on this planet right now there's a force here that's not human, and it makes humans look like babies. The CIA, babies. The government, babies. The force that's here right now is so strong. It's so strong. It makes all that look like little children. There is a non-human intelligence on this planet watching everything. And it's real.
And I even think there's like universal, like, even in space, there's like good and evil fighting too. Like it's a spiritual war.
It is.
And it's not even just planet Earth, really.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It's an extraterrestrial presence here on this Earth, and these corporations and stuff that are ran by the secret societies. The secret societies at the very top have been making deals with these extraterrestrials. And the secret, and within secret societies, there's other secret societies. You have a secret society full of like 200 or 300 people. You may get down to like 5 people who really run the show anyway. And so there's extraterrestrial contracts being made and deals being made under the table, and being on Earth right now is a big deal because everybody is a transformational type of time. And my God,
I believe it. I believe we're living in Revelations. I mean, some people may disagree
my God's
with
not
me.
playing with them.
Right, but I mean, nobody knows the time or hour, but I do believe if you look around what's going on all around the world, like it hands up
I'm telling
Revelations.
I think what I went through was just boot camp.
Yeah.
I'm being for real.
I know. I feel the same way. Like I'm prepared. I'm ready for this now. Like
I went through. Like I just feel like I just went through some sort of boot camp or something like that, and I'm pumped.
I feel like I went through a concentration
like
camp of my mind. That's what I feel like.
Right.
Literally.
Next time they catch me, I'm coming through like the X-Men.
Yep.
I'm coming through like the damn X-Men, and so that's just what I'm for real. I feel like what I just went through was a boot camp.
Right.
I just went through 3 years of covert stalking. I just went through 3 years of sophisticated mind control programs, government stalking, corporate stalking, or whatever the hell it is. Before that, there's some things that people don't know about that were very serious. There's a lot of things people don't know that I went through. I'm lucky. I'm very
Right.
lucky to be here. And so, I've been through some things, and I feel like I just went through some sort of boot camp. And
I
I'm not.
feel the same way.
I've seen the degeneracy and the cowardness and the immorality of these people. And I'm I'm coming when I come, it's gonna be like the X-Men. It's gonna be
You
like
should
the
see
X.
me. I will rebuke them. If I know they're like really evil souls, like I, have that feeling in my chest I was telling you about, like that, just really, truly evil, I will start rebuking them in the name of
Right.
Yeshua. I mean, I don't care how crazy I look, I will do it and say it right to them.
Right.
And some of them
Right.
will just
Absolutely
freeze
right.
and not move. Like,
Right.
like seriously, like they're possessed by demons and they just can't move after I rebuke the
They
demon.
they better hope they better hope it's real. They better really
Yeah.
believe in it. They bet whatever they're caught up in or whatever they're involved in, they better truly believe in it 110% and hope that it gets them to where they need to be. Because I know my God's real, and what my God's got me through is real, and I know what I'm capable of.
Amen.
I know what I can do. I know what I'm capable of. I know what I can get through. My stuff's real. I don't need anybody to
Right.
co-sign on mine. I don't need no
That's a
co-signers and
comforting
no.
thing too, because we don't
Right.
have like a lot of the people we can
Right.
trust. Because when you are gang stalked, it really does like mess with you, and you have a hard time trusting people.
Right.
Like, is this
Right.
is this somebody genuine, or is this a gang stalker? Am I gonna get hurt?
Right.
Like, or is this person, I'm gonna care about them, and they're gonna start being gang stalked to try and hurt me? They're gonna hurt them. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
it
Right.
it can be
That's
very
what I'm saying.
isolating. So I'm glad you have God in your life, because with that you'll be all right.
Right, because they're on some stuff like this is a 62-59 alpha program, level 11, blah blah blah. We're not supposed to exist, but we still do exist and stuff. Blah, blah, blah. They can't even show themselves. You know what I mean?
Right.
And my
Yeah.
God is real. My stuff is real. I'm on the streets with my stuff. I approach the people and talk to them and everything. My stuff is real. My stuff isn't hidden in some room somewhere that nobody can see and all that stuff. My stuff's out there on blast.
Yeah.
24/7, nonstop, getting stronger every day.
I love it.
And so,
You're very authentic.
yeah,
That's a beautiful thing.
right,
That we live in a very
real,
fake society. I like that.
right,
It's a
it's
great
real,
quality. Yes.
right, it's real, and
Gotta keep it
so,
real.
right, right, and that's why I'm so glad, Andrea, that we were able to get in touch. This is really,
Yeah,
really
me
wonderful because,
too. You've helped me out. Like, I'm so glad you called me. I was watching a couple of your videos, and it really just helped me out.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, no kidding.
I'm just,
Okay.
like trying to learn as much as I can and educate myself, because I think knowledge is powerful. People perish because of the lack of knowledge. So the more
Oh yeah.
education, the more I know that I can control myself and they're not going to control me. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
It's
Right.
a very
Right.
powerful tool, knowledge, and the power of God. I have nothing to worry
Right.
about.
Yeah, that's why I said I didn't do any of this by myself. Like I'm nothing but a shadow of a morsel of a shadow compared to what my God is, and that's real. And so,
Right.
but it's been it's no joke.
It's no joke.
People, yeah, wait till it happens. I just say wait till it happens. There's people out there who don't think it's real, and it's gonna happen to them as well. And when it happens to them, then they're gonna be like, damn, this is what it's like.
Right. I wouldn't even wish
They're gonna
this
be.
on my enemies. I mean, it's
Oh,
that bad.
I mean, it's coming. It happens to new people every day. So, and people, people can't afford to be. I tell people they better get some concept or some education of it now while they can, because if it ends up
Right.
happening
So
to them,
you
they're
can
not prepared
protect
for it.
yourself, protect your
Yeah,
mind,
right.
for sure.
Oh, but hey, we got an hour and 30 minutes in on this
Nice.
interview. I know it. This
I
interview,
hope that
on
it
too.
helps somebody.
Oh, man, it's gonna help a lot of people. I would, you know what? I didn't even know all the help my videos were doing on YouTube. I had no idea.
Oh yeah,
I
you
didn't.
definitely have helped me so much, and just being
Yeah,
able
I
to
didn't.
talk
I
to
had
you
no.
is really comforting, and I can tell you're just a pure heart, a good soul, and it's just nice to
Right.
be able to
Yeah. Thank
talk
you
and
so.
not have you judge me or say I'm schizophrenic and crazy. It's just nice to be able to talk to you and
Right. Thank you
you
so much
support
because.
me and not judge me. And I appreciate that.
Right. Yeah. Thank you so much because there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people that email me and they'll be saying the same thing, and it's like I didn't even know. Like I wasn't even trying to be egotistical or anything, and people would like be like, man, your video, you did this. It's like, damn, if it's that good, then I mean, there's a lot of improvement. I got a lot of areas to work, and I got a lot of improvements to make. But I'm just
You
thankful
have a
I was
lot of
able to get.
knowledge, and that's so helpful because it is, especially in the confusion stage. Like, you don't know
Right.
what the hell is going on. Like, it's so scary. So to be able to have like an informative video to be like, oh, okay, well, this is happening to me too. This is happening to me. I understand it now. It is very comforting to know that
Yeah.
you're not crazy, and you know what I'm saying, like to have that knowledge and confirmation and support and love. That's
Yeah.
beautiful. I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. One woman, she was telling me, and I'll never forget this. She was like, "You're important to the communities out here." I was just like, "Wow, man!"
For
That's. And
sure.
then people are starting to defend me and stuff. When people talk bad about me, people are starting to come in and defend me and stuff. And it's just like,
Oh, I
man,
totally
it's like
will
I
too.
hope.
If you have any trolls, I will totally
Right.
defend you and set them straight. I've gotten good at
Yeah.
just speaking the truth to my trolls and to gang stalkers or to narcissistic type of people, and I will just get them to be silent because they can't say shit when you tell them the truth and speak the truth, and keep
Right.
it real.
They can't stand in the way of the light of the truth. That's why they
Right,
do ad hominem attacks. They want to attack the person because they can't attack the message. You know.
right.
Yeah. It's quite a story. But I was gonna say we gotta come back on and do another one.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure, for sure. What like like maybe I'll talk to you offline about it. I'll ask you, maybe I'll text you, you know, like later on tomorrow or something, and then we'll figure the schedule thing out, and
Okay.
we'll come up with, yeah, we'll come up with some time to where we can both sit down and talk, and then we'll keep doing the group thing. Like we'll have the nights where other people come on with us, and then we'll have the nights where it's just me and you, because I like to do the one-on-one interviews with people, and then do the
Okay.
conference things because it's two different worlds,
That's true.
Right.
Well, my schedule is pretty open, so yeah, just let me know.
All right, cool. That's so great to hear, Andrea. That's so wonderful to hear. You're such a beautiful person. That's really wonderful.
Oh, thank
Yeah.
you. I appreciate your kind
Yeah.
words.
Yeah, you know it. You know it. And that's genuine. And I look forward to it. I'll text you tomorrow for sure.
Awesome. Well, have a good night.
Okay. You too,
All
Andrea.
right.
You take care now.
Bye.
Bye.